Hello, it's Pastor Penny, and it's Monday, May 4th. And I just have two um, little announcements. One is that yesterday's worship had a box of crayons that were visible um, the whole time. From my angle, from my vantage point, they weren't visible. And we went through all kinds of gyrations to try to keep the iPhone in one place on a slanted surface. So I hope you could overlook the crayons or have a little laugh about them. The second thing is that we're going to meet for our book study on Accidental Saints this Wednesday at 2. Um, I just picked a time. If there are problems, you can let me know. We can move the time. I will initiate a Zoom meeting, or I'll try, and we'll have hopefully a very nice talk. So Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, the 6th at 2 o'clock, and I'll say something tomorrow about it too. So I looked at the daily lectionary today, and there was the story of Moses fetching the Ten Commandments from the mountain. And the Israelites were not happy. They were never happy. But Moses had gone up the mountain and he wasn't coming back anytime soon. They didn't have any idea when he'd be back. And so Aaron, Moses' buddy Aaron, was overseeing everything. So I just thought there's a lot in the Bible that is a surprise if you haven't read it for a while. So I'm reading from the Message now, so it's more contemporary. Um, so they wanted someone to lead them, what God would lead them. So Aaron told them, take off all your gold rings from your ears and all your relatives and your bracelets and give them to me. And so they did, and he melted them and cast them in the form of a calf, and shaping it with an engraving tool. Here you go, Israelites. Here is your God. Um, and he built an altar to go with this golden calf. And then he said, tomorrow is the feast day of God, of this God. And so they began to party the next day. They had a wild party. And God spoke to Moses, meanwhile, up on the mountain and said, get down there. Hurry up, your people, whom you brought from the land of Egypt, have fallen to pieces. In no time at all, they turned away from what I have commanded them, and they made a calf, and now they're worshiping it. And God said to Moses, I look at these people. Oh, what a stubborn, hard-headed people. Um, let me alone now, because I'm really, really angry. So Moses tried to calm God down. And he said, don't lose your temper over these people. Stop your anger. Think twice about bringing evil against your people. Think about what you said to Abraham. I'll give you many children, as many as the stars in the sky. I'll give this land to your children as their land forever. So God changed his mind. He thought twice, calmed down, and decided not to be evil against the people. So meanwhile, Moses came down from the mountain, and he said to Aaron, what the heck was that? What is going on? This is a huge sin. Why did you let this happen? And Aaron said, don't be mad. And I threw their gold in the fire, and out came this calf. And the people were running wild. So the next day Moses addressed the people and said, you have sinned an enormous sin, but I am going to go up to God, and maybe I'll be able to clear you of the sin. Oh, and before that, when he came near the camp and saw the people dancing, he had two tablets with him written on both sides, and he smashed them. He was so angry, he smashed them. And so then he goes back up to God, and some other things happen. And then in chapter 34, God says to Moses, cut out two tablets just like you did before on both sides, just like the originals, engrave them with the words of the ones that you smashed. And be ready to climb Mount Sinai and get set to meet me on top of the mountain. So Moses did as he was supposed to. And God said, as of right now, I'm making a covenant. I'm making a promise with you. Take note of all I command you today. Stay vigilant. Give them these tablets. And Moses was there with God 40 days and 40 nights. And then he brought down the tablets of the testimony, or the 10 commandments. So it just reminds me of, again, I know I've talked about this, but all the protesters, it doesn't matter if it's for your own good or if somebody loves you, if you just want to protest because you don't get your own way or you don't get it fast enough. And so I invite you to remember that God loves us so much, even when it might not seem that way. And the Israelites were learning lesson after lesson, I guess. I just thought it was an interesting story. A lot of emotion there. God gets angry. God calms down. You know, his whole interaction with Moses is. So read chapter 32 of Exodus if you would like to know more. So I'll see you soon.